All right, y'all, we're going to try this again because, geez Louise, I put the music on and it's like still too loud and the audio gets cut off. All right, how to handle open relationships. I'm going to give you a backstory that I refer to as the dream. Years ago, when I did a dog sit, and this dog looked like Anubis and it was spayed, I was given the gift of ganja, and I think the ganja was laced because I remember waking up. The room, it looked like it was the room, was very purpley, cloudy, misty, foggy. Everything was moving, and I woke to the dog licking my junk. And I was caught between fear, like, oh shit, I'm about to get bitten off here. What the fuck? I was so fucking scared, but then I was also like, as I was realizing that, okay, I'm not being eaten here, something else is going on. That's when I was like, what is going on? So, whatever that situation, I go to sleep because I remember blacking out several times, and the time dilation. I had to have blackout several times because the time dilation was crazy. It was so, dude, it was so surreal. Anyways, fast forward a few years, then I hear about this dream follows me, and I'm like, I hear about the experience of the dolphin that forced the man into open waters, well, from in the open waters to mate. Then fast forward another few years, I hear about vasectomies and people taking pictures with their dogs who were spayed or neutered, saying, "I got a vasectomy, haha, doggy smile. You should get it too." And now, fast forward another few years, and we have veterinarians and people talking about the adverse effects of those practices: vasectomy, spaying, and neutering, the loss in bone density, how it affects the endocrine system or endocrine system, and all of the internal systems. Now, stay with me here because here comes the full circle, and this is why I would say stick with a plant-based diet. Protect your spirit animal companions, bird, cat, dog, from being spayed, neutered, anything that alters their natural systems, because these creatures are wise with the energy. And when we observe what they do with that energy and how they treat that energy, you can learn how to do the same thing with your own energy individually, so that you can individually and collectively with your partner or partners not overuse the root and the sacral, and to also help you heal and better handle open relationships, because we know that is an aspect of open relationships, sharing your sacred sexual energy. Now, for the kinky role players, all right, some of you may remember the term called foreplay, and foreplay had to deal with the aspect of sexual arousal, but not with the intention of sexual intercourse, especially in this case, not with the intention to have a sexual orgasm. Now, why is this important? Because tying in with what we can observe with nature and how they treat that energy, if you observe them, they never really stay on that lower, I don't like calling it lower, but they never stay on the root and sacral chakra energy, do they? They use it like an activator. See, that energy reproduces more than just offspring. It reproduces good spirit, love. It fortifies your mind and strengthens your spirit and your unity, okay, within, and your acceptance of within yourself and for others around you. Jealousy and envy goes away when you learn to tap into this. So, for example, let's say you and your partners, or partner, you have you have your sacred sexual ceremony, your transmutation ceremony, and maybe you have you got some nature elements in there. You got some, like, turmeric is good for anti-inflammatory. So that way, any blockages for the energy or traumas or shadows that may show up, you can use turmeric. Let's say you have some plants and some flowers, some lavender, some crystals, and you have either your cats or your dogs or your birds in the same space. They will do a very good job. All those nature elements do a very good job of taking your attention away from using that energy and limiting it to your root. Okay. And this is important because here is one of the things that you can do when you are learning to transmute this energy. Aside from taking those what seem like dull pause moments and meditating, And being in gratitude, you can also play with the energy and its many creative expressions: dance, music, sing. Maybe there's a project you're working on, or maybe like in my videos where I've mentioned, we're talking about how we're all wealthy with nature. Nature is abundant, and how even financially speaking, we all are very wealthy. We just don't understand commerce and trust. We're learning to understand commerce and trust law, and how everything is essentially made up. Money is all money is credit, and everyone has credit, and anything financially that has been made up, you can make up. This is why you have tribes and communities and even companies that have their own internal credit systems. So let's take this energy, for example. You are involved with this energy and the transmutation of this energy. Now with that energy, you take that and you play with it, not just on the root and sacral expressions, but now you have the loving expression. Now you have the creative expression, all right? The creative side that wants to work on whatever you're working on, for example, whether it's an art piece or a project together, or individually. Then you have the sitting with the energy itself. And sitting with the energy itself is also very important, because when you can sit with the energy itself, you learn to appreciate and you meditate and you focus on the breath and the heart space, you eventually enter the source space. And the reason a lot of people are attracted to animals and are fascinated by the animals and nature is because nature is very wise and intelligent with this energy. They don't waste that energy. And even when you see, for example, a dog trying to mess with your root chakra, guess what? It doesn't stay on that root chakra, does it? Of course not, because they know what the energy is, and they're trying to tell you that, hey, take that energy and transmute it. And so many people aren't aware of this. So this is why we make this video, to help other people become aware. Mind the noise. Now, that being said, when you guys can do all of this, all right, and you connect everything that I just said, this is why you will see it's important to not only defend nature and remember that animals are friends, not food, but it's also why it's important to defend nature and your spirit animal companions, be it cat, bird, dog, horse, whatever, from being spayed, neutered, or used for breeding. Okay, because that's ridiculous. But when they're being used for money, that's ridiculous. Okay, that is just fucking ridiculous. People will jack off of a horse so that they can get sperm and then make their little artificial inseminations or lab grown experiments, but then they won't use that hand to plant gardens, or maybe just help the dog or the cat or the bird or the horse just calm down or find it a playmate. Okay, so anyways, don't listen to the people. Those same people will tell you, yeah, spaying and neutering. I get that some people's situation, that's where it is, but if you can help it and not have to go down that path, then don't go down that path, because guess what? There is alternatives, and they are being spoken about by vets and by many experienced people. So do your research. Okay, now hopefully with that video and everything put together, you guys can understand why it's important to honor not just nature, okay, especially the cats, the dogs, the birds, alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, birds, cats, and dogs. Okay, you understand, you should comprehend by now why it's important to protect them. Okay, and also why it's important to comprehend and work with this energy and learn and observe how those creatures and nature treats that energy, and be with nature. Plant gardens. Check your diet too, because you cannot heal pain by consuming pain. That makes no sense. Okay, you either stop consuming pain, or you heal yourself with things like plants, medicines, plant foods. I get that some people eat unfertilized egg. I get some people eat scale fishes. I get that part too, but obviously the more plant-based, the better. Okay? With all of this said, I hope you guys learned something, learn to transmute those energies, learn to stand firm within yourself. Let love guide you, because love is not envious, love is not controlling. Okay? Love is not jealous. Love is not possessive. Okay, and when you look at nature and the creatures, they exhibit exactly the opposite of those qualities. They are open, they are unconditional, they are intelligent with the energy. They are not stuck on just what many people have been trained to think when it comes to the sacred sexual energy. Anyways, that's all I got, and I think that's a better video, so we're going to end it with that. Namaste.